Good evening, this is Viewpoint. I'm Zakir Jacob. The centre has finally banned the Popular Front of India, the PFI, a radical Islamist organisation whose members are wanted for cases from murder to radicalisation to spreading terror. Now, this ban comes after dozens of places across the length and breadth of India were raided over the last week, 10 days. More than 500 PFI leaders and workers were arrested. And in many of these instances, incriminating material has also been recovered from them. The PFI, on the other hand, claims that this is nothing but a pure witch hunt. The question is, why should there be any tolerance, even 0.1% tolerance, for radicalized views and actions that encourage terrorist activities? But first, the story so far.
After 2 rounds of intensive raids and more than 300 arrests, it finally happened. The centre banned the Popular Front of India and its associates for 5 years under the Unlawful Activities Prevention Act. Listing the reasons behind the ban, the Home Ministry's notification stated that PFI is involved in several criminal and terror cases and shows sheer disrespect towards the constitutional authority. With funds and ideological support from outside, it has become a major threat to the internal security of the country. And investigations in various cases have revealed that the PFI and its cadre have repeatedly engaged in violent and subversive acts.
निश्चित रूप से लंबे समय से जांच चल रही थी, कुछ ना कुछ ऐसा मिला है जो उनकी गतिविधियों को संदिग्ध बनाता है.
With PFI being declared an unlawful organisation, their properties could be attached and activities of their members could be deemed illegal.
Where right now in the Benson town, where happens to be the PFI state head office here, are leaders across the state and from also outside the state. So they used to come and visit this organization.
A team of police officials have managed to reach over here. They are inspecting this entire site, just making sure that no untoward incident happens over here. And that is the reason why a team of police officials have just arrived.
The ban was welcomed by most state governments.
This is a very, very welcoming move. PFI and CFI create the fertile ground. Al-Qaeda Indian subcontinent can recruit youth.
जो minorities है उसमें घुसकर वहाँ पर अनरेस्ट निर्माण करना, वहाँ पर इंडोक्ट्रिनेशन करना, फंडिंग की भी अपनी व्यवस्था की है, छोटे छोटे अकाउंट निकालकर उसके माध्यम से किसी के ध्यान में ना आए इस प्रकार से ये टेरर फंडिंग कर रहे थे.
But politics wasn't far behind, with many opposition leaders questioning the move.
Every Muslim youth will now be arrested with a PFI pamphlet under India's black law UAPA. How come PFI is banned but organizations associated with convicts of Khaja Ajmeri bomb blast are not? Why has government not banned right-wing majoritarian organization?
Bans really have not worked in the past. The same people can work with a different name in a different organization. Earlier RSS were banned thrice. Has it stopped them?
For several years now, PFI has been one of the biggest threats to India. Their members chopped the hand of a college professor in Kerala. They've been behind cold-blooded murders of right-wing members and obtained explosives to target prominent people and places. So why object to a crackdown on such a radical organization?
All right, so what exactly does it entail? What are the implications of the ban of the PFI for 5 years? It's now been declared as an unlawful organization. What it means is you cannot be a member of this organization anymore. If you are becoming a member, then automatically you will be treated as a criminal. Also, forfeiture of property. The PFI as an organization cannot own any property because once the organization is banned, then it has to forfeit the properties in its name. It cannot organize. Articles of association will not happen or will not apply for an unlawful organization. Like the PFI, they will not be allowed to bring groups of people together and organize protests. Also, they cannot be taking donations. Remember, many organizations ask for donations, organize seminars, workshops, etc. None of those the PFI will be able to do. They can also not publish under the PFI name any more of their propaganda material. And also, most importantly, and I think this is where the nub of the fight is, their bank accounts. They will not have access to any financial resources. Bank accounts in the name of the organization will be frozen. Also, their properties, offices will be attached. there will also be travel curbs on their office bearers. They will not be allowed to travel far and wide if associated with the PFI. Let me now go across to Arunima, my colleague, who's been tracking this story. Now, one of the things that you've heard from political parties as well as other experts and analysts is that a ban doesn't materially amount to anything on the ground, because today you've banned PFI, they can metamorphosize into something else, just like you did Simi a few years ago. Simi went on to become PFI. So how does the Home Ministry explain how they intend to counter that?
Well, this is not a version that they are supporting at all. In fact, senior police officials in states also who are dealing with PFI in their role of anti-terrorism unit, they also are saying this ban, coupled with the All India action, the All India crackdown that has happened in the last 2 weeks, that has given them a huge leg up as far as their fight against a Popular Front of India-led radicalization and quote-unquote terror is concerned. Why are they saying that? First point they're saying is that it is not easy to regroup, because now that PFI is a banned organization, anybody who was associated is on the radar of intelligence agencies, state police agencies. So if you become a sleeper cell and if you become from dormant, you become active, you will be immediately on the scanner of the agency. So that's point number one. Second, they're saying, where will you get a committed leadership from? All the top leadership is now in custody. Now that PFI is a banned organization, there is greater chance of them not being, even if they are set free, there is a very less chance of them able to put together an organization like PFI. So getting a committed leadership is the second most important difficulty. Third, as far as funding is concerned, we have learned that the National Investigation Agency has already frozen the main PFI account in which donations came, and now every other donation will be monitored as well. So there were some experts who were saying that what about the dark web, what about crypto? There are other ways to get donation. So the police men and women I spoke to are confident that now that PFI has been banned and the top leadership is in custody, together these two moves will ensure that they have a greater grip, a tighter grip on that funding route as well. They're hoping interrogation of the chairman, the national executive members will give them more insight as to how this funding was being done, and that will help them prevent it.
All right, we'll leave it at that. Thanks very much, Arunima, for joining us with your perspective and details of what is the rationale, what is the thinking behind this ban. Let me now go across to our guests who are joining us. Vikram Singh, former DGP of Uttar Pradesh, Swapnil Kothari, senior lawyer, Abhijit Majumdar is consulting editor with First Post, and Maulana Ali Qadri, Islamic scholar, also joining us. Maulana Qadri, मैं आपसे शुरू करूंगा. पिछले हफ्ते 10 दिन में करीबन 300 जगहों पे रेड हुए हैं. 300 से ज्यादा PFI के या तो नेता लोग नहीं तो उनके कार्यकर्ता लोग अरेस्ट हुए हैं. उनमें से काफ़ी सारों को कोर्ट्स ने पुलिस कस्टडी, शायद NIA कस्टडी हो या बाकी पुलिस एजेंसीज जो हैं उनके कस्टडी में भेजे हैं. इनके यहाँ से काफ़ी सारे इंक्रिमिनेटिंग मटेरियल्स भी रिकवर हुआ है. तो ऐसे एक संगठन को हम प्रोत्साहन क्यों देना चाहिए सर? इसको बैन करने का रैशनल यही है कि ये पूरा रेडिकलाइज्ड आउटफिट है और यंग मुसलमानों को और रेडिकलाइज्ड और दहशतगर्द के रास्ते में लेके जाने के लिए ये एक टूल बन रहा था. तो PFI जैसे संस्थानों को हम क्यों इतना लॉन्ग रोप दें?
देखिए जागर साहब, हमारी पहली ऑर्गेनाइजेशन थी मुस्लिम कम्युनिटी से, जो सूफी सजादा नशीन काउंसिल है. सबसे पहले हमने हमारे ऑनरेबल होम मिनिस्टर अमित शाह जी से और अजीत डोवाल साहब से इस बात की रिक्वेस्ट की थी कि इनके जो गतिविधियां हैं PFI की, इनको देखते हुए आप इनके ऊपर बैन लगाएं. और हमने आज बैन लगने पर गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया का वेलकम किया और होम मिनिस्टर साहब को हमने इसका शुक्रिया भी अदा किया. लेकिन साथ ही साथ साहब एक बात हम ये कहना चाहते हैं कि PFI का जो मैटर था अब यहां पर क्लोज हो चुका है. लेकिन कहीं ना कहीं ऐसे जरूर महसूस हो रहा है कि ये PFI के बहाने किसी और को, मासूम इनोसेंट लोगों को ना सताया जाए, क्योंकि माजी में बहुत सारी बार ऐसा देखा गया है कि करता कोई है भरता कोई है. PFI की गतिविधियां हमको गलत दिखी. हमने हुकूमत के साथ शाना बाशाना कदम ब कदम साथ रहे और बिल्कुल ही मुखालिफत की, जिसके बिना पर काफी मुसलमानों की हमको नाराजगी भी सहनी पड़ी. हमें उसकी परवाह नहीं थी।
कादरी साहब, एक छोटा सा डाउट है, आप क्लैरिफाई कर दीजिए। इन जो 300 लोग जो अरेस्ट हुए हैं पिछले हफ्ते 10 दिन में, उनमें से ऐसा कोई भी है जो पीएफआई के साथ एसोसिएटेड नहीं था?
ना साहब, मैं एनआईए की कार्रवाई के ऊपर तो मैं कभी जो है ऐसा गलत बात कर भी नहीं सकता। एनआईए की ये जो कार्रवाई हुई है वो पूरे साक्ष्य जुटाते हुए, सबूत जुटाते हुए उन्होंने काम किया है। मैं फ्यूचर के लिए बात कर रहा हूं सर। फ्यूचर में ऐसा कोई काम ना हो जिससे कि मुस्लिम, इनोसेंट मुस्लिम परेशान।
ठीक है, तो आप कह रहे हैं कि जनरल माहौल ऐसा ना हो कि इनोसेंट मुस्लिम्स को ये लगे कि वो परसिक्यूट हो रहे हैं। लेट मी आस्क अभिजीत मजूमदार, यू हर्ड व्हाट ओवैसी हैड टू से। ही सेज while he welcomes the ban on the PFI, he says arresting 300 people under what he called the black law UAPA is uncalled for. He says it's against the basic structure of the Constitution. The point is this acceptable that you have a radicalized organization which is not only involved in tens of hundreds of cases across multiple states in this country, but is indulging in this even now? It is brainwashing young Muslim men and women to take up violent means for whatever perceived grievances they may be.
If you've noticed, most Muslim organizations, especially the proper legitimate overground ones, even ones that are borderline divisive, one might say, etc. Even Mr. Owaisi has not come in support of PFI. That is a very significant thing. A large part of the Muslim community, I don't think, has accepted PFI as their mouthpiece or as their thought leader. So that is a very welcome and good sign. As Mr. Kadri just said before me, that they by and large welcome the whole decision, because organizations like PFI make it more difficult for the community, help everybody, paint the community with one wide brush, and which nobody would want. So this whole concerted action is very welcome. And about radicalization, see, PFI was trying to create something like a Muslim Brotherhood, which is very, very dangerous. I mean, if you are an out-and-out terror organization, it is probably easier for the authorities to handle it, because it's then in black and white. What PFI was trying to create was shades of gray, where it was creating a certain social legitimacy in the community, with all the 8 frontal organizations that have been banned along with the PFI, tell you that how they were using the campuses, women's groups, this, that, empowerment, creating fronts where money was being, sent in.
Okay.
So this whole network, this quasi social network, this crackdown is was very, very necessary, because it's quite dangerous when such groups with such ulterior agenda.
Vikram Singh, so 8 organizations, 8 affiliated organizations along with PFI have been banned, includes the All India Imams Council, the Rehab India Foundation, the Campus Front of India, their women's wing, all of that has been banned along with the PFI. But their political wing, the SDPI, which has contested elections in the past as well, Vikram Singh, that has not been banned. Is that because that does not fall under the remit of the central government? Or will this enable, if the political wing is not being banned, will it enable the political wing to undertake nefarious activities under the garb of it being political activity? So you have to unmute, please. Yeah. Vikram Singh.
Zaka, good evening. I would say that PFI has an insidious move picked up all aspects of human activity, whether it is students, whether it is academics, whether it's women welfare, whether it's charity, whether it is development, and you name it, and the PFI has their finger in their pie. Now, if the PFI has been banned, and I would also draw your attention to the fact that recently we discussed the Criminal Identification Act 2022 also, wherein all the biometrics will be taken of every person arrested now. There can be no comparison between the banning of SEMI and the banning of the Indian Mujahideen and banning of the PFI, because then the data collected was very half-baked. Now for sure, the history sheet would incorporate the biometrics, the Aadhaar, the PAN card, the mobile number and everything. Therefore, to metamorphose or to have a new avatar in certain organizations will be very much difficult. But banning of the SDPI is a natural corollary that once you starve the roots, the shoots will die down automatically. Now, the SDPI is a political wing, but it depends upon their cadres for the funding, for the manpower, for booth capturing and other intimidation of the electorate so as to be successful during the course of elections. But when the cadre dies down, and I dare say that this unprecedented action that has been taken 22nd of September and 27th of September, leading to the arrests of hundreds of people in both the goes, collection of incriminating evidence, I don't think that they would have the resilience even to come back again. And YD sections 2, 3, 4 of the UAPA, the banning has happened. Section 40 of the UAPA would ensure that the funds are forfeited, and all their funds under the PMLA Act, they will not only be forfeited, they will be attached, movable and improperly attached. That will be one blow which they will not be able to do. But
okay, I want to ask Sunil Kothari again. I'm borrowing from what Mr. Owaisi said, because he made this an issue in his press conference earlier, where he said the UAPA provisions like Section 2 and 3 will ensure that many of these people will have to stay in jail without getting bail for sometimes up to 2 years. And he cited the Siddiq Kapan example. Let me ask Sunil Kothari, even in a terror case, even in a case where there is heinous charges against individuals, and in this case there are more than 300 of them who have been charged with these heinous charges, as per the due process of law, should someone be incarcerated without trial, without access to bail for a period up to 2 years, as we have seen in recent cases?
Zaka, that's a very good question. But then UAPA is a draconian law, and COFE, COSA, UAPA, NDPS, these are all draconian legislations, and people can be incarcerated without access to bail for a certain period of time if the legislature so provides in the statute, or in this case in the UAPA, if you are a member of the organization even after it's been banned. So 2, 3, 4, in as much as draconian as they may sound, but that's still a challenge is possible to that, because the tribunal has to then decide by the report of the government, of the Ministry of Home Affairs, as to whether this ban is appropriate or not. So it's not that PFI is without any legal remedy. Now, how much that legal remedy is going to fructify is a different issue. I don't think it will, because the way the raids have been conducted, the way the evidence has been led, it clearly indicates that this has got no tomorrow as such. I believe this organization has no tomorrow. But be that as it may, Zaka, I am going to stretch this argument a little further. This is a great move. It's a long overdue move by the central government to ban PFI. What about the other offshoots of this organization? What about the other branches of this organization? What about the other cohorts, or should I say affiliations or associations of this organization, which may be functioning alongside? You cannot just work out a terror network by yourself. You have to have some certain, great hands along with you.
No, but there are 8 other organizations, affiliated organizations, that have also been banned.
True. Yes, that is true. Those 8 alone may not be sufficient, because then you have to look at those 8 of the other 8. In the sense, you have to keep multiplying that, because those other 8 also could be having their own affiliations with others also. So it could be just that kind of a spiral network where you go into a Byzantine maze of looking after one to connecting to the other. So it's a kind of a domino effect where you keep going until you arrive at the root of it and try to extricate this from the roots. Otherwise, this ban by itself is not sufficient. You can ban 8, you can ban 10 organizations, but it is not going to be sufficient at all. You will continue to have this problem time and again, and this will really resurface even after a period of time. So this is something which I believe needs to really need to be taken care of not only by the government but also by the administrative machinery. The police and the NIA also have to work in tandem as far as this aspect is concerned.
Let me also ask Maulana Qadri Saab about, आज दो तीन पॉलिटिकल लीडर्स आगे आके उन्होंने ये बोला कि ठीक है पीएफआई पे बैन आपने लगा दी, ठीक है, अच्छी बात है, लेकिन आप राइट विंग के एक्सट्रीम ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस को क्यों नहीं बैन कर रहे हैं? और उन्होंने साइट किया आरएसएस के एग्जांपल। क्या ये कंपैरिजन वैलिड है या कुछ फॉल्स इक्विवेलेंस है मौलाना अली कादरी? क्योंकि अभी तक तो आरएसएस के लोग ऐसे डायरेक्टली इम्प्लिकेट नहीं हुए हैं इन हीनस क्राइम्स लाइक टेररिज्म केसेस।
देखिए वाका साहब, डायरेक्टली इन्वॉल्व नहीं है, यह बात बिल्कुल सही है। आरएसएस से जो भी अपने पद पर हो या आरएसएस की कोई पोस्ट पर हो, लेकिन आरएसएस की विचारधारा रखने वाले लोग जैसे कि मक्का मस्जिद बम ब्लास्ट में इन्वॉल्व रहे, मालेगांव के बम ब्लास्ट में इन्वॉल्व रहे, अजमेर की दरगाह के बम ब्लास्ट में इन्वॉल्व रहे, यही नहीं, यही आरएसएस थी ना सर कि हिंदुस्तान में मुसलमानों को कैंसर कहा था। लेकिन हम वो पास्ट में नहीं जाना चाह रहे, इसीलिए क्योंकि आपने देखा कि 4 डेज बैक मोहन भागवत जी ने मदरसे को जो है गए और वहां के लड़कों से मिला। तो हम तो हर वक्त सौहार्द और संवाद के लिए तैयार है। और आपके डिबेट में और अभी एक बात हो रही थी कि मुस्लिम ब्रदरहुड पर, तो मैं ये कहना चाहूंगा सर कि मुस्लिम ब्रदरहुड हमारे देश के लिए कोई घातक नहीं है। वैसे ही जिस तरीके से आरएसएस सारे हिंदूज को एक प्लेटफॉर्म पर जमा करते हुए अपनी कम्युनिटी को डेवलप करना चाह रही है, और वैसे ही कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन के सर्कल में रहते हुए, संविधान के दायरे में रहते हुए, अगर कोई आदमी मुस्लिम ब्रदरहुड की बात करता है, साथ ही साथ अपने देश की भी बात करता है, तो इसमें क्या बुराई है? अगर वो अपनी कम्युनिटी को डेवलप करना चाहता है तो इसमें कोई बुराई बात नहीं है। लेकिन पीएफआई का जो मैटर था, वो लोग मुस्लिम ब्रदरहुड के नाम पर एंटी नेशन एक्टिविटीज कर रहे थे, इसीलिए हमने पीएफआई को खिलाफ बोला, उनको बैन लगाने की बात की, जो आज बैन हो गया। और एक बात जो ओवैसी साहब ने कही कि यूएपीए वाली बात, तो सर ऐसा कई पास्ट में देखा गया कि इनोसेंट मुस्लिम्स के ऊपर बड़े बड़े सेक्शंस के तहत बुक कर दिए गए केसेस, 2 साल के बाद उनको कोर्ट ने रिलीज किया। तो ऐसी कोई घटना पीएफआई के नाम पर मुस्लिम यूथ के साथ ना हो, ये सारे लोगों को फिक्र है, इंक्लूडिंग मी ऑल्सो।
मिसयूज ऑफ लॉ वो है, मैं मना नहीं कर रहा हूं, मिसयूज ऑफ लॉ वो वाला कंसर्न आपका है, but I want to ask Abhijit Majumdar again, this equivalence that is being seemingly drawn. You had Sitaram Yechuri also talk about, in the context of why bans won't work. He said RSS was banned 3 times. Did it stop them? The point that's being made is there is some kind of an equivalence, you can call it a false equivalence, being sought to be established between, radical views on the Muslim side vis-a-vis radical views on the Hindu side. And what Maulana Qadri said, how about the people who were arrested in the Makkah Masjid blast, the Malegaon blast? They had association with right-wing organizations, but none of those cases, it's been pending 10, 12, 15 years, have been brought to any kind of fruition. How do you respond to that?
Very simple. I mean, these false equivalences actually, have no meaning simply because, tell me even, one instance where Hindu terror has been, proven. In fact, quite the opposite. We have seen, past home ministers making false notings on files to prove the whole existence of Hindu terror, so that they can simply appease a community. Man, face the truth. Learn to face the truth, and then, it'll be much better for the community if you face the truth. You cannot make a false equivalence with RSS, and also, in the name of Islamist, Islamism, look at the number of people killed every month, every week worldwide, across 25, 30, 35 countries. There are Islamist attacks across those countries. So, and also, by the way, Kader Saab, I didn't mean by Muslim Brotherhood, I don't mean the Ummah. I meant the group called Muslim Brotherhood, which has been the fountain of much of the terror link thinking, activities, inspiration, groups. That I don't mean Muslims in general. I meant the particular group which has its headquarters in Egypt.
No, so I want to...
This is, false equivalence will get us nowhere, which is why Sitaram Yechury's party is more or less, Sitaram Yechury is irrelevant. His party in Kerala has been actually probably the most active state government against the PFI, because it has been, the state has borne the brunt of the worst of PFI so far.
Okay.
Among the people who have gone, 66 Indians who have gone to fight for ISIS in Syria and Iraq, many of them have been inspired by PFI. TJ Joseph's wrists have been cut by PFI.
So I want to ask Vikram Singh that in Kerala itself, where this group seemingly originated from, there are more than 300 cases. 300 cases against the PFI. In Karnataka too, there are about 310 cases. The point that's being espoused, or the point that's being asked, is that ultimately, if this group is tapping on a perceived sense of resentment or grievance among some sections of Muslims, then who is the onus on to prove that such a grievance is misplaced? Is it on the state? Is it on moderate Muslims within the community? A large majority, an overwhelming majority of Muslims are moderate. But because of the actions of a few in organizations like the PFI, the rest of the community gets a bad name. So who is the onus on to say that, look, what they are trying to do is propaganda, what they are trying to do is radicalize, is to extremize. The reality on the ground does not bear with that kind of propaganda that they are trying to propagate.
Zaka, is it for me?
Yes, Vikram Singh, yes.
Zaka, the first thing to do is the duty of the state to ensure that no radicalization happens. And radicalization happens only when there is a perceived sense of persecution. We are a vibrant democracy, and the Muslims are the happiest and the safest anywhere on the planet in India. Number two, we have people like Honorable काबिल एहतराम मौलाना कादरी साहब हैं, जिनकी आवाज़ दूर दूर तक जाती है, वो मरहम का काम करती है। मौलाना कादरी साहब की आवाज़, और जिसके ऊपर मौलाना साहब हाथ रख देंगे, मुझे कोई शक व शुबा नहीं कि वो बेगुनाह ही होगा, वो किसी गलत आदमी की पैरवी नहीं करेंगे। The likes of Mr. Qadri, a sane voice from the Muslim community, and also the majority community has a role to play. But my last observation is that after the Mumbai blast, you had a book by the name of Mumbai Hamla RSS Ki Sajish, and the likes of Digvijay Singh were the one who released the book. Mr. Sapnil Kothari will bear witness to the fact. And there are such people who spread slow poison against one community or the other. They should end once and for all. The nation has to be resolute and rise as one person, that India first, and there will be zero tolerance as far as national security is concerned of any party, any individual, Zaka.
All right, I'm completely out of time. I want to thank all our guests, and we'll see how this story goes forth. Whether this ban on the PFI will be effective to the extent that no person associated with this outlawed organization now will be able to further terrorize or further radicalize young Muslims for whatever perceived grievance there may exist. Let me now, as we wrap up, a key reminder of programming that's coming up. Indian of the Year. Do not forget to vote for your favorite sports person, the athlete that you feel deserves to be the Indian of the Year in sports. Just go to indianoftheyear.com and vote. In a moment, Ridhima joining you from the biggest